101.5 KMCJ Raiders Radio.
Featuring the CR Sports Talk Show.
As your new manager, I want to say this up front. No one is assured a spot in the starting lineup. I don't care if your name is Steve Sachs or Daryl Strawberry or... Smithers, what's one of the bad players' names?
Homer Simpson, sir?
Or Homer Simpson.
Welcome to the CR Sports Talk Show. My name is Kennedy Collier, the current voice you're hearing right now. I'm a 26-year-old journalism student currently attending Moore Park College in CSUN. You're listening to me on the radio. You're also going to be listening to my good friend Mitchell Ross, who's here with me. You haven't heard him yet because I'm going to be hogging a lot of the mic space in the beginning. Mitchell, thanks for being here. I don't know why I'm thanking you. We were actually assigned to be partners in this radio show that we are hosting. Just real quick PSA, if you're listening to this and it's 2 a.m, I need you to take a step back. I need you to rethink your life. I need you to go to bed and then come join us at 2 p.m., a much more reasonable time to be listening to anything. And if you're listening to us at 2 p.m., disregard what I said to you earlier, and welcome to the CR Sports Talk Show. Mitchell, how you feeling?
Feel really good. Great to be here, Kennedy. Thank you for that illustrious introduction to yourself. You never cease to take the moment and make it about you, which is what we love about you. My name is Mitchell Ross. I also attend Moore Park College. I'm not a journalism major. I just like hearing my own voice. And yeah, I like sports. So I think it's going to be a fun little show that we've got here. We're going to talk about, relevant sports topics, discussions, debates, anything that kind of gets the sports mind rolling.
So I'm sorry, I had a bit of a mic issue, but yeah, basically we're not going to be talking about should Kershaw have thrown a curveball in the 5th inning versus a slider. Mitchell may try to sneak that in a few times, but I'm going to stop him. But we have a lot to talk about this sports week, Mitch. Of course, the Super Bowl happened, and I don't really want to talk about the game itself, but I want to talk about Tom Brady and how, did you see any of the videos of him in his boat parade for the Super Bowl?
I mean, Tom looked like he was living his best life. He tweeted out he had just a little bit of avocado tequila, which, I guess the man doesn't eat strawberries like you said, but he will eat avocados. That's a good kind of fat. He looked like he was having a good time down there in Tampa. I think Florida's really done a number on him in a positive way, for sure. I
didn't know what avocado tequila was. I'm pretty ignorant. I just think tequila's tequila. But correct me if I'm wrong, that's the most human we've seen Tom Brady post-Super Bowl out of all of his wins. When you look at New England, he's obviously was celebrating his wins, but there seemed to be like a different swagger of Tom Brady. I mean, he was drunk. He was hammered. I mean, we've all had 3, seltzers at mid-afternoon, get a little tipsy, fall out the boat. It happens to the best of us, and now for the first time ever, we're seeing Tom Brady do it. So it just kind of struck me that this man has won 7 Super Bowls, and this is the first time I've seen him legitimately party.
Yeah, I mean, he has gone on record saying that during the season, he won't even drink a beer. He touches 0 alcohol during the season. So I'm sure after this long, really just crazy season in general because of COVID, I'm not surprised that he took to the bottle. Apparently he went out there in a boat parade, which is something different I've never seen before for a Super Bowl parade. And he went out there in a brand new $2 million boat. So when you can afford a $2 million boat, why not drink the best avocado tequila there is? And he made one final pass that won't go into the stat sheet by tossing the Lombardi trophy from his boat, I believe it was, to one of his teammates' boat. And it almost fell in the water. And you could see his daughter being like, "No, Daddy, don't throw the Super Bowl trophy." Clearly, Tom was that hammered that he threw a big metal trophy from one boat to another. Just a great sight to see, honestly.
Well, you also have to think he probably thinks, hey, I have 6 of these things, or 7 of them. What's losing one at the bottom of the ocean? Let's say Tom Brady tosses in for whatever reason, his receiver doesn't catch it. Does it stay at the bottom of the bay? Do they go retrieve it? Is it just there forever? Do they replace it? What goes on?
I mean, I would be more concerned if, it's a metal trophy. If it gets a little bit wet, that could be slippery, and that thing is heavy. I'd be more concerned if he tossed it and then one of his receivers dropped it and it fell on their foot. That's an injury waiting to happen. happen. And if it goes down to the bottom, I bet Gronk will be like, guys, no worry, I'm going to go dive and get it myself, because that's the thing Gronk would probably do.
Do you think anyone's even asking Gronk to go get the trophy? He's just instinctively jumping into the bay.
Well, I think he's just going to be like, I guess I got to push up my scheduled snorkeling by an hour today. So he'd be in the bay anyways.
Wait, so you think that Gronkowski is snorkeling every day while he's down in Tampa?
I think after playing several seasons in the very cold New England Northeast area, to live down in Tampa, why would you not snorkel every day? Right?
I mean, especially if you're Gronk, and he just seems like the guy who kind of does whatever he wants in terms of having fun. So yeah, I'm sorry for ever thinking you would be wrong about Gronk wanting to party and snorkel at every day.
I mean, yeah, they all fit in with that Tampa Bay culture with Bruce Arians. He's like, yeah, cocktails at noon. That's the kind of coach he is. He doesn't like, preseason practices. He likes preseason cocktails. That whole Tampa Bay team is a party team. That whole city's a party city. Doing the best things in Florida, I'm sure.
Do you think Belichick, one, watched the game? And if he did, at what point did he turn it off and go read a book?
I don't think he watched the game. And if he did, he probably turned it off after the first half. The game wasn't even close at all. He was also like, cool, thanks, Bruce Arians. Thanks, Tampa Bay. Now you showed me the blueprint on how to defuse Patrick Mahomes. So he probably watched the first half and was like, I'm going to use that for next season. And he's getting ready to bring in a quarterback. I don't know who he'll bring in. If they can make a swing for Deshaun Watson, that'd be scary, Deshaun under Bill Belichick, but I doubt it. I don't think anybody really wants to go to New England to play. It's not like a big destination for free agents like Tampa Bay is. You got to factor in weather and factor in, the fan base up there in Foxborough. They can be tough. It's a tough place to play.
Well, and also you have to think about when you're playing for the Patriots. I can't name the names right now because I wasn't prepared for this topic, but when you talk to players who are open about people playing in New England, they say it's not fun. Like, football obviously is a job and they are professionals going there to work, but there's an amount of entertainment and fun for the players who are playing. But when you go to New England, it's such a military style business to where there's really no fun and no personality allowed to be shown. And I think you saw that in Tom Brady, where when he was with Tampa, he was on Twitter. He was doing funny little Twitter the married couple games with Gronkowski. He was on a boat drinking. He threw the Lombardi trophy. That would have never happened if he was winning number 7 in New England.
Nah, I think the world finally got to see Tampa Tom. And hey, look, when you put in years of service to the Patriot way, look, you got 6 rings out of it, 6 Super Bowl trophies. That's more than any other quarterback ever. Obviously, it paid dividend, but he's at the point in his career where he wanted to have fun. I don't blame him. And in fact, I think the NFL is better for it.
Well, and I mean, now does he make the run back?
I don't think so. It's so hard to repeat in any professional sport. It's really hard to repeat championships unless you have, an all-time stacked super team. Like we go back to those Warriors teams. They don't go back-to-back if they don't get Kevin Durant.
Okay, well then who's Brady's opposition in the NFC? Who's Brady's toughest opponent in the conference?
I would have to think it's Green Bay if Aaron Rodgers is staying. I don't know if they're going to bring back Aaron Jones. I don't want to say the Rams are going to compete because I think they'll make the playoffs, but I'm not super hot on them going into next season. I don't know what's going to happen with Seattle, but at the end of the day, it's extremely tough to repeat. Any number of things can happen. The Bucs got some offensive free agents that might leave at the end of the season. Once you win a Super Bowl, you can kind of be like, hey, I've got a Super Bowl, go out and pay me. The NFL has a salary cap, so it will be tough to repeat. And look, Kansas City was not able to repeat, and they had an extremely stacked offense. They had the fastest human alive and one of the greatest tight ends to ever play and one of the greatest young quarterbacks ever, and they still didn't repeat. So it's extremely tough to do.
The issue is, let's just assume that Rodgers is going back to Green Bay, which I'm no expert, but I would believe that he is going to go back to Green Bay. That's a big if, and you saw Brady and Tampa Bay just take apart Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you could even see in the hug that Brady and Rodgers gave each other that Rodgers was he was done. He had the look of just, God damn it, this guy is going again after I'm just working my butt off and I've only gotten there once. So it's just the NFC is going to be the most interesting conference of next season.
It'll be really interesting to see. We got to see how Dak comes back after his injury. I don't really know what's going to happen with Deshaun. I would like to think that if the Texans do trade him, they're not going to keep him in the AFC. They don't want to potentially see him down the line. I would think they'll probably trade him somewhere in the NFC. It's tough. It's tough to repeat. I think Tampa Bay right now, they're going to appreciate this winner. They're going to take it in. I know Brady's having like a small knee operation to very small, very minor planned procedure. And then look, he'll be 44 next year. Anything can happen. Who knows what's happening with Gronkowski? It's a total mystery what's going to happen next season. I think there's a lot of teams that'll contend.
But you're even hearing reports about Mike Evans, who on any other team would be, well, he is the number one receiver, but if he was on your team, you would be so excited to have Mike Evans as your number one receiver. And he's saying he wants to take a pay cut to keep the guys together. When have you heard that? When have you seen the superstars want to, say, hey, I want to keep this team together. I want to win a Super Bowl. I want to get that pay cut.
When have you seen that? Look to Tom Brady every single year in New England, restructuring contracts, taking pay cuts to keep key position players there in New England, and they had sustained success for almost 20 years. I think it's a mentality thing that Brady brings to Tampa Bay, where it's a good combination of fun and loosey-goosey, but it's also about teamwork and doing what is best for the team. And if they want to repeat, some players are going to have to take pay cuts. That's just going to be the way it is.
It's just interesting that you have these big wide receiver superstars, ones that you would just kind of judgmentally assume would be in it for the money, especially after winning a Super Bowl. Because I know once I win a Super Bowl, I'm just going to be in the NFL for the money, but that's just my own selfish reason. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back to you. We're going to talk about Trevor Bauer coming to the Dodgers. Will Clayton Kershaw stay with the Dodgers? You're listening to the CR Sports Talk Show.
Mattingly, get rid of those sideburns.
What sideburns?
You heard me, hippie.
Welcome back to the CR Sports Talk Show. Again, my name is Kennedy. My co-host Mitchell Ross took a little break. Mitchell Ross, I don't know why I just called you by your full name, Mitch. Your camera froze. We have technical difficulties. We're going to be figuring this out as we go. Mitch, a lot of baseball talk. I know the Super Bowl just ended, and we're just getting started with pitchers and catchers, but the baseball season never really ends. You have the Dodgers making a lot of moves. They just got Trevor Bauer. Kershaw's been talking about. So let's start with Bauer. How big of a change is this to the Dodgers?
Yeah, I mean, man, this is big. This is the second season in a row we're seeing the Dodgers spend big time money. Last year, they went and acquired Betts from the Red Sox, gave him a big $360+ million deal extension for 12 years last year. And they went out and got Trevor Bauer, reigning Cy Young Award winner in the National League. Bauer is a local, played at Hart High School out in Santa Clarita, pitched at UCLA in his college years. So he's an LA native. And so it's good to have a local son back. And more importantly, you're adding Bauer to a rotation that already has a 3-time Cy Young Award winner in Kershaw, the 2014 MVP, the 2012 AL Cy Young Award winner David Price. Now you're adding Bauer. Between all that, that's 5 Cy Youngs, I believe 8 ERA titles. And they also have Walker Buehler, one of the best big game pitchers of the last decade to 15 years. This is a big deal because the Dodgers are looking to run it back, which is extremely difficult to do. The last 2 teams to go back-to-back in the World Series were the Yankees in that 98, 99, 2000 repeat, and the Toronto Blue Jays back in 92, 93.
Well, so I guess my biggest question about it was Bauer obviously he's a top pitcher and you'd be happy to have him on your team, but is that something that LA needed to go after, was more pitching? I felt like, correct me if I'm wrong, that they had a pretty deep bullpen and maybe you wanted to focus on outfield or infield. Is Bauer the right move?
I mean, yeah, look, the Dodgers all around are just very deep. They got a top 10 farm system within baseball, and they have a pretty deep rotation already. They did lose Pedro Baez, 2-year deal to the Astros, and they did lose Alex Wood and Jake McGee to the Giants. But, they did play roles in the postseason, so it'll be tough to be without them. They brought back Blake Treinen, and no. The short answer is no. They did not need to bring in Trevor Bauer, but they did, which shows a commitment to winning. It shows a commitment to running it back. I think it's going to help this season because you got to remember, last season was only 60 games, and to ramp up from 60 games to 162 is going to be tough for pitchers. Pitchers were not prepared for 60 games, so they didn't pitch as much, less innings, and now to ramp that up all the way to 162, it's going to be tough. So having depth and multiple options is very critical for them.
So let me ask you, let's talk about last season. They were in a semi-bubble situation. Were you surprised at the amount of rules that made it over? Because we have the 7-inning double-doubles, which I personally love. Not double-doubles. That's what is it? Double headers, exactly. So
double is my order from In-N-Out.
Exactly, yeah. No. So you have the 7-inning double headers, which is a rule I like because I will be honest, I didn't watch much baseball, but when I did, it was those double headers, and those games went by surprisingly fast. It did not feel like I was watching 2 full games of baseball, mainly because I wasn't. But I'm glad that rule has made its way into this regular season. I don't get the jump back to 162. I think you're going to see a lot of unnecessary injuries. You're going to see, you're going to see an increase in injuries go up, and I just don't see why MLB had the opportunity to shorten the season, to kind of save the sport a little bit, because again, the average fan, the average person, doesn't care about Game 72, Mitchell. It doesn't matter what the team is. It's that no one's going to go to a baseball game on Wednesday afternoon when there's a million other things to do. So I think this was MLB's opportunity to shorten the season.
Yeah, I mean, the difficult thing is, look, there was a plan to potentially shorten the season, but it came with other stipulations as well, and it's all about finding a compromise between Major League Baseball, the front office of Major League Baseball, and Commissioner Manfred, and the Players Union. Now, they did propose a shortened schedule, but it was only to 154 games, which is only an 8-game difference. So to say that it was a difficult decision to make it 162, look, teams lost out on revenue last year, and it was extremely tough for them. I think that the rules that did make it over, the 7-inning doubleheaders, I think that's a good rule. I personally don't mind sitting through a 9-inning game of Game 72 on a random Wednesday, but I'm not most fans. And
that's because you're a psychopath, Mitchell.
Yes,
like,
I'm
you're
a
psychopath.
But
you love baseball more than anything. Is that fair to say that out of the top 5 things in Mitchell's life that he loves, it would be baseball?
I mean, that's easily number 3 or 4 for me. Look,
I now want to know what the top 5 are. What are the top 5 things Mitchell loves? We've established. So is it 3 or 4? Which one is it?
God, it's tough. I'll put it at 3.
All right, we got.
You always put your best hitter in the 3 hole.
Okay. What's number 5? Of all the things Mitchell's ever loved, what is number 5?
My car.
Okay.
I love my Mustang.
And at number 4?
It's fun. 4. That's a tough one. I love the city of San Francisco.
That's the most random thing you've ever said. I'm abandoning this idea completely. Tune in next week when we get to Mitchell's number 2 and number 1 most loved thing. So Mitchell, let's talk about Kershaw for a little bit, because there was a report from the LA Times saying he doesn't know if he wants to play or not. And as a Dodger fan, I personally don't care. I think Kershaw's overrated, so he should retire about 5 years ago. But Kershaw may not play for the Dodgers this season. Mitchell, what's going on?
Yeah. Look, Kershaw, he's 33. He's going to be 34 this season next month. There's not much more that he can accomplish in baseball. He's won 3 Cy Youngs. He's won an MVP. He's won 5 or 6 ERA titles. And last year he captured the elusive World Series. There's not much more he can do on a diamond. He's about 400 plus strikeouts away from 3,000. He's not going to get to 300 wins. If I'm him, I look at it one of 2 ways. We can run it back and compete as long as he can, but he's a competitor, and I know he does not want to play if he's not at the best that he can possibly be. He doesn't want to play until his arm falls off, and he doesn't want to be bad. He doesn't want to have a bad performance.
You also have to think about, because we were talking yesterday about him wanting to go play in Texas with the Rangers, so you could potentially look at Kershaw saying, I want to play 1 more year, but I want to play with my hometown team, and that's certainly a reality the Dodgers didn't really think they would find themselves in.
I don't know if they didn't think they would find themselves in this scenario. I think it's long been known that if given an opportunity, he would. But he's also of the belief that if he finished his entire career wearing 1 uniform, he'd be happy with it. And I know that from reading the article, it sounded like he's either going to retire or he's going to move on. But it seemed closer to me that he was going to retire. I don't know what the likelihood of him playing for the Rangers would be. Given that, if that was his decision, I would rather see him in a Rangers uniform than any other uniform, because that's his hometown. And to grow up to pitch for your hometown team, that's got to be a childhood dream fulfilled.
How angry would you be if he goes to the Red Sox or the Yankees?
He wouldn't go to the Red Sox, first of all. Second of all, if he did end up as a New York Yankee, he'd have to shave his beard. I'm with it. If Kershaw wants to be a Yankee, I'll cop a number 22 in pinstripes.
How stupid is that rule, the no beard rule that the Yankees have?
I actually don't think it's stupid at all. It's about building a culture and adhering to a set of rules that you're the New York Yankees. You've won 27 world championships. There's a way of doing things around here, and it's all about buying in for the greater good of the team. So if that means you're not allowed to have a beard, then so be it. You're allowed to have a mustache. Don Mattingly rocked one for several years. I'm with it. I think it's all about building a culture that fosters winning, and clearly they are the winningest team ever. So why not?
I think it's a little fuddy-duddy to use that's my favorite old person word, is fuddy-duddy. That just seems just old and stiff, the no beard policy. So you had to make a prediction right now, Mitchell. You have 3 options. Kershaw plays another season with the Dodgers. Kershaw retires. Kershaw plays for the Rangers. Which one is happening?
Well, he's under contract till the end of this season.
But Mitchell, we've learned that contracts mean nothing in sports.
Right. Well, the Dodgers are not trading Clayton Kershaw ever. Dependent on if fans get into the stadium this year, I would say he's either going to retire or he's going to take 1 more year with the Dodgers. I think they have some payroll flexibility next year. So I would bet on him returning or retiring.
Well, there you go, folks. That wasn't so painful. We got through the first half hour of our show. Mitchell, I would probably give us a B+, maybe a B. I might be a little generous in our grading. What would you say?
I think we definitely have some room for improvement, but that's what it's all about, getting better every single day.
If we're starting at rock bottom, there's only one way to go, and that's up. So stick around, guys. We'll be back in the second half. You're listening to the CR Sports Talk Show.
101.5 KMCJ Raiders Radio.
Featuring the CR Sports Talk Show.
Mattingly, for the last time, get rid of those sideburns.
Look, Mr. Burns, I don't know what you think sideburns are, but...
Don't argue with me, just get rid of them.
Welcome back, everybody, to the CR Sports Talk Show. We kind of have a little bit of fun in the first half, and for the second half, I want to start a little bit serious. We won't talk about it for very long, but I feel like it's something important to talk about. Obviously, we haven't really learned in the past 4 years, Mitchell. We haven't learned a damn thing about anything when it comes to the national anthem of this country and what the flag represents. Again and again, you have a certain group of people who, when they see that flag, Mitchell, they don't see what you and I see. For those who don't know and can't tell by our voice, both Mitchell and I are white. We're as white as can be. When Mitchell and I see the American flag, it's a little bit different to what happens when someone who is a minority or someone who is black sees that flag. They do not see the freedom that this country so often proclaims that they have. So again, we see the same problem that we had 4 years ago, Mitchell, with Colin Kaepernick and his quote-unquote disrespect by kneeling for the national anthem. And you kind of just take it in a modern time to what 2021 is. And the Dallas Mavericks had decided not to play the national anthem. And when you hear Mark Cuban, he was on The Jump, ESPN's The Jump yesterday. We record this on Thursday, by the way. You listen to it on a Saturday and a Sunday. Right now, we're recording on Thursday the 11th, so things may have changed. But Mark Cuban explained that he was told by several people throughout his organization about how they feel about the flag and the national anthem. So he just said, you know what? For the preseason and for the beginning of the season, we're just not going to play the national anthem. And for 13 games, Mitchell, for 13 games, they didn't play it. You and I didn't hear about it. Because in reality, none of that really mattered. It didn't matter that we played the national anthem before the game. And it wasn't until someone reported, just as a side comment, that no one heard the national anthem be played, that it became this controversial thing. And then you see a statement from the NBA for, correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't they very pro Black Lives Matter during the bubble that happened in Florida? I believe that they had messaging on the court. I believe they had commercials. They had the sports athletes, the basketball players, the product, have their voices be heard. But you kind of see this weird heel turn with the NBA, with the All-Star game, and now with this national anthem that I don't know why I'm surprised, but I just don't understand what the NBA is doing, and I kind of want to get your perspective on it, Mitchell.
Well, I look at this from a couple different perspectives. One, as the average sports fan who watches the NBA mostly on TV, and I've never been to a game in Dallas to see the Mavericks play. And even watching on TV, they cut away to commercial during the national anthem, so the TV audience doesn't see it anyways. Okay. Second, I personally don't see the harm in not playing. Cuban said that they still had the flag flying proud up on the wall at the American Airlines Center, and everyone had the opportunity to address it and pray to it or salute to it or whatever their feelings are. I think what Cuban was doing is he was taking the opinions and the feelings of his staff and of his players, of his organization into he took it in and was like, yeah, this doesn't necessarily represent everyone. First of all, not everybody in the NBA is American, so it's not even their home country's flag. Second of all, when the flag has become a symbol of not only patriotism and freedom as it used to be, but it's now become a symbol of what is wrong in this country and the injustices that exist, and how the progress has not come far enough in some cases, and how the struggle is still not done. I think that when Cuban decided, we're not going to play it, it wasn't to spite anyone. It was just a conscious decision to say, hey, this isn't necessarily mandatory, so we're not going to do it.
Well, and he also made it very clear that they had no plan. There was no open memo saying, hey, we're not playing the national anthem anymore. They always had a plan of one day bringing it back, but why are we still having these arguments, Mitchell? I mean, I feel like we've learned nothing in the last 4 years, and if you want to take it even further, I wouldn't blame you the past 400 years that black people haven't mattered ever, Mitchell.
Has it been 4 years? Has it really been 4 years?
It's been, I think it was, Kaepernick kneed during the end of the Obama administration. And then Trump came in, because I remember Obama commenting on it. He didn't quite believe in the protest, but Trump is the one who really took it to another level. I could be wrong on the Obama thing, too. I'm not sure if he was for or against it, but yes, it's been about 4 years since Colin Kaepernick has been blackballed from the NFL. So it's astounding that we are still having these simple arguments, and all we have to do Like, I don't really want to be on my high horse, Mitchell, on a soapbox or anything, and I don't want to come down as if I'm woke and holier than thou. But just listen. Just listen. That's all we have to do. Like, Mitchell and I, as just white people, we just have to shut the hell up and just listen. That's the first step. Because if you're still seeing these things and questioning why multi-million-dollar athletes who happen to be black are asking not to be shot in the street, if you're questioning why they are doing that, then you need to take a step back. You need to take a step back and ask, why am I against just an athlete wanting to speak his mind? It's getting out of hand, honestly.
Yeah, I will say that I do not believe the anthem is necessary to play an NBA game. I understand from a ritualistic standpoint why it's important to play it for fans who may believe it, for people who use it as a moment of meditation or a moment of prayer. I understand it. I can appreciate it. I can appreciate when I was a kid growing up, all I wanted to do was be on the field in the World Series with the national anthem and the flag out there and taking my hat off as a sign of respect. I can understand and I can appreciate it, but we're paying to see these athletes perform and do their craft. And if it's making them uncomfortable, or if it means something else to them that is a symbol of injustice instead of justice, I think that I would hope that in 2021 that as the public, as the consumer, we can be appreciative and respectful of that. And if it means not playing an anthem for 30 seconds but still displaying the flag, I don't see the harm in it. And quite frankly, by Mark Cuban not making an announcement about it, he has actually progressed the conversation forward by saying, I did not need to make a big statement about this. I don't need to show that I'm better than anyone else. I'm just going to do this because I think it's the right thing to do.
So what really interests me is that we don't play the national anthem outside of sporting events. When have you heard the national anthem? It's government, ceremonies or sporting events. You don't hear the national anthem before you go to a movie theater. You don't hear the national anthem before you watch Netflix. You don't hear the national anthem before you go out to a bar and drink with your buddies. You don't hear the national anthem with every single other recreation that we have. But for some reason, and it's actually really not for some reason, it's because that sports like, well, largely the NFL and the MLB have really wrapped themselves in the flag. They have really leaned into that audience that wraps themselves in the flag and considers just flag waving to be patriotism. You know, they never consider that there are other ways to be patriot, but as long as you're waving an American flag, you're considered a patriot to them. So really, it's just been so ingrained in our sports culture that there's really going to have to be, and there already is, people are going to have to get uncomfortable about saying, look, there's no need to have the national anthem on before any of these games.
Yeah, I agree. Look, there are plenty of ways to show your pride for your country, and everybody comes from a very different walk of life. As long as the flag is up there and there's a compromise. We're not going to play the national anthem, but if you want to take a moment to yourself to recognize the flag, then that is, by all means, your right to do so. And I encourage you to do that. I think we're moving into an era of politicized sports where player empowerment is going to take a larger role in what we see on TV and on the court. Fans are not really in stadiums and arenas right now, but they're going to start to come back. And look, I have to disagree. I like Adam Silver as a commissioner. I think he's the best commissioner that there is out there of any professional sports league. He's very player-oriented and about player empowerment. I disagree with his statement that it's going to be league protocol to play the anthem.
Another thing, but separate, about the NBA that's weird that's coming, because you're right, Adam Silver, if you 2 weeks ago, before these two things were, the national anthem and the All-Star game, we'll talk about that in just a second, you would have said that Adam Silver is the most pro-player commissioner out of all the four major sporting events. So now let's look at the All-Star game that's scheduled to play on March 7th in Atlanta. And I'm not really aware of the COVID numbers, Mitchell, but Georgia and the South have been pretty not so good when it comes to infection rates and death rates. California's no prize either. We're horrible when it comes to those two statistics, but it's interesting to see how the NBA worked so hard to make that bubble happen, and they preached player safety and coach health and all that stuff. And now we're having the most unnecessary game ever. There's no reason really to have an all-star game, but I understand that in a non-pandemic year, it's an event. It's a fun event to have to celebrate the sport. But this is the most unnecessary game ever. So my question to you is, if you're LeBron James, if you're Kevin Durant, an automatic all-star, do you say, I'm just not going?
I think you will see some bigger names opt out. I think it's a very difficult time because Chris Paul, the president of the Players Union, he's all about player empowerment. He's all about doing the best thing for the league. The league could use the revenue that was lost from last year. My question is, if you're going to have the All-Star game, if you're going to make it happen, why is it not going to happen in the city that it was intended to happen in? Why is it not happening out in Indiana? It's supposed to be in the Pacers' home arena. It was canceled, but now brought back. It's not going to be the full weekend of All-Star festivities. I know there's talks of potentially having a dunk contest type thing at halftime. I don't like this purely based on safety reasons. There's already been a lot of games canceled because of COVID. A lot of teams might not play the full regular shortened schedule for this season. I don't see the merit in having a game where you're going to have everybody from multiple different teams coming into one arena just for one game.
And also just not even the... I'm sorry, I was muted. Also, you have to think about, we're learning here, folks. This is our first radio show. Just we're gonna be bouncing off and stuff. In fact, I was actually, during Mitchell's great point, I was clacking on my keyboard and my microphone picked it up. So, audience, you're gonna hear me working really hard. So, but yes, also look outside of just the NBA. The All-Star Game is an event. People come all around to attend this thing. It's like Mardi Gras or something for the NBA. I also heard, I don't know if this is true or not, or if this is happening, the dunk contest is going to happen at halftime. So let's step away from the ethical side and the morality of hosting an all-star game. Why are we having a halftime dunk show? Isn't that going to be like, aren't dunk contests 45 minutes?
Yeah, look, a good dunk contest can take up the better part of an evening. I would be more interested in seeing, hey, let's have a dunk contest, but every player does it in their home arena. Let's all do it virtually, right? You don't need to gather everyone together for this one event, and you could make it a longer program. That's a special program that you see on All-Star Saturday night. I don't like the whole idea of it. I don't think we're going to get the big names that the fans want to see. I don't think you're going to get a LeBron James or a James Harden or a Kyrie Irving, three of the biggest names in the NBA.
I think it'll be interesting now. We have to see what the contracts and the legal aspect of it. If LeBron James can just say, no, I'm not playing in an all-star game. Another thing, have we seen every dunk? Are we going to continue to get cool dunk contests? Because you're going to have to keep adding more extreme props, more extreme things. Someone is going to have to come down. They're going to have to retract the roof of some stadium, and you're going to see Zion Williams do a base jump out of an airplane and, you open his parachute 30 seconds before he's going to splat into the ground and just dunk. I feel like that's the only thing that's going to top it.
Well, until LeBron James offers himself up to the dunk contest, which he has yet to do, then I will have seen it all.
So you don't care if the King's not in the dunk contest, you're going to proclaim that all dunk contests are bad?
I don't understand the point in having a dunk contest when you're not having the best in-game dunkers in the competition. When you're not having LeBron James during his peak time in Miami, that was a shame.
All right, folks, I'm sorry that we had to talk about some boring, serious racial stuff. I promise you, in the next segment, we're going to talk about a streaker, so stay tuned.
Mattingly! I thought I told you to trim those sideburns! Go home! You're off the team for good!
Fine. Still like him better than Steinbrenner.
Welcome back to the CR Sports Report. Mitchell, I know you saw the streaker at the Super Bowl. We all saw the streaker. Actually, well, you didn't really see much of him on the broadcast. I always hate when they cut away. I understand that, you can't have grandma have a heart attack seeing some streaker. He wasn't really streaking, though. He was wearing a bright neon pink bikini. Not a bikini, a one piece. Is it streaking if you're not naked?
Yes and no. I think for, the goodness of everyone in America and around the world who was watching the Super Bowl, which was the lowest amount of people in a decade, I'm glad that he was partially clothed. I think you can streak while wearing underpants or just undergarments. As long as you're running across the field causing a disruption, I would consider that streaking. It's a little disappointing, though, that in this COVID situation that a fan decided to run onto the field and potentially get exposed to all of these players, or just the fact that he was in the stadium in general. He could have gotten exposed. I heard on social media that he had placed a bet that there'd be a streaker, but after watching some videos from very notorious social media gamblers, they said it's basically a sham. It's not real, that no bookie in their right mind would take a $50,000 prop bet, that if it was real, it had to be some sort of offshore betting. If it's real, he won $375,000, so good for him.
Well, that's what. Let's just entertain the idea that it was real. You win. How much? What was that number again? How much did he win?
$375,000, but had to pay $1,000 bail to get out of jail, so he netted $374K.
Off a $50,000 bet. That's worth it.
$50,000 bet.
That's 100% worth it, Mitchell. My question for you is, do you do the same thing? Let's say that the bookie takes it. It's 100%, gambling, ethically legal. Do you go out there and streak, knowing that the worst thing that's going to happen to you is that $1,000 fine?
I'd bet double that, $100,000.
So you're doubling down.
I would double down.
You're not afraid, because for me, it's showing my stomach. I don't want the world to ever see what's underneath my shirt. I don't know what price tag is.
But then you could use that money to get the lipo and you'd be all good.
I guess that's true. I didn't really think of that. So is there a situation? So if he wins $3,500 basically off of $50,000, he would win what? It would be, I'm bad at math, so $7,000. Let's just say $700,000 off your $100,000. Mm-hmm. Is that so? That's enough for you to streak across national television on the biggest game ever?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm netting like $99,000, why not?
There's no shame. So you just
no shame, because I could pay off debts. I could go on a nice vacation. I could buy a car.
I wonder what it says about the American dream, where you can pay off your debts and finally live your life if you streak across the Super Bowl after making an outrageous bet.
Well, that's where we are in 2021, Kennedy.
I was upset. Were you upset when they cut away from the streaker?
I was upset when the game just wasn't entertaining and that the streaker was the most entertaining part.
I think Mahomes must have been mad that the streaker got more yards than he did.
Yeah, that's going to be a meme for a while. Definitely.
That's all I have for the streak. I just want to talk about the streaker. Mitchell, you've been talking about Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
Just hating on every big man. Let me have it. What do you got on Shaquille?
Look, Shaq, you're a big man, probably one of the greatest to ever do it. It's a different game than when you played, man. Getting 10 and 10, that's putting in your dues, and that's helping your shooters get the ball and helping them score. I don't know why you got to be unnecessarily hard on Rudy Gobert. Yeah, he's getting way overpaid, but that's the Jazz's ownership's problem. That's not your problem. Your problem is dealing with, Chuck in the TNT whatever show before the game. Don't be worrying about how much Rudy Gobert is making.
Is it just simply because Shaquille O'Neal sees this guy who he knows that in his prime he would absolutely just school on? The problem with Shaq is that he wants every player, every center to play like Shaq. When the game has evolved to the three-point line, Shaq is like, no, drive it to the basket, make him foul you, just dunk it. Which, I mean, Shaq, we don't play the game like that anymore. He wants every player to be the greatest center who's ever played the game.
Well, I mean, I to some regard, like, I understand how he feels. I want baseball players to stop swinging for a home run every pitch. I want them to go the other way. I want them to run a suicide squeeze. But that's just not how the game is. And I think we have to adapt to be like, oh, this is what it is. The game is softer. You can't foul as hard. You can't hand check. It's a different style of play. And no true big has won the MVP since Shaq. And yeah, Shaq, if you're in your prime, you're probably dominating and getting 15 boards a game, but you could not shoot outside of the restricted area. So you probably would not be making that much money in the NBA.
So you're saying that Shaq would not be Shaq in this NBA?
No,
because
Shaq
I still think
Shaq would be a footnote. Shaquille O'Neal played X amount of minutes.
Wow.
I don't think he'd be as big as Giannis, like in terms of celebrity wise, right? I mean, you got to think Shaq also did a lot of stuff outside of his playing ability with a whole bunch of marketing, and he was great with that. He's a great personality. Rudy Gobert's kind of he's really good at rubbing microphones with COVID. That's what he's going to be known for. Shaquille O'Neal will be known for many things outside of basketball, such as his commercials for the General Car Insurance or Papa John's. He'll be known for other things.
I will remember him. Did you ever see the movie Shazam or Kazam? Have you ever seen that movie? Oh my god. So Shaq plays a genie. Like, that's all you need to know. That's like, I feel like that sentence alone should get you to watch the movie. Shaquille O'Neal plays a genie, and it's like one of those movies that are so bad that they're good. It's just, I wish Shaquille O'Neal, I wish basketball players did more things like Kazam, because I think the only thing we're going to be getting is LeBron James doing Space Jam 2, and are you even excited about that?
I'm a little bit excited only because I love Space Jam. It is one of my favorite sports movies ever. I don't know why you need a sequel to it. And if you do need a sequel, I don't know why. I mean, I understand why LeBron is doing it. I don't know how it could be any better. Like, I think it's going to be a commercial kind of success, but it's coming out at a really difficult time because who knows how many people are going to be able to go to movie theaters. It's just difficult.
All right, Mitchell, in 30 seconds, you have to make your Monstar team. The monsters from the movie are taking the powers from the NBA players, but they have to be current NBA players because they're facing LeBron James. Who are you picking?
Point guard, Steph Curry. Shooting guard, give me Clay. I like those two together. No, give me Harden. At the small, give me KD. At the power forward, give me Giannis and Joel Embiid at the center.
I'm just going to go a little bit different for the sake of argument. I think Curry would just be the best option, like Hollywood-wise, like casting-wise, like you want to get the family in, put Steph Curry in. Just for talent, I'm going to do Damian Lillard, because I think he would actually be good, not just on the court, but I feel like he's good in front of the camera. He knows what to do. I'm putting Jimmy Butler in that shooting guard because he has personality.
He's got swag.
Exactly. Joel Embiid, that's a perfect pick for center.
He's a given.
You have to put him in. KD, you'd probably have to put in
because he's a snake.
And who's the fourth? So I feel like you need
Giannis.
Giannis might be good. I feel like I need like a European or we need a white guy, just a little diversity. I don't know if
Luka in there,
but has he reached the Monstar status? He admitted himself he's having a bad year. Anyway, that's a discussion for another time, people. My name is Kennedy Collier. The other co-host voice you've been hearing is Mitchell Ross. Mitch, do you have any other things you want to tell him? Who are you writing for, by the way?
I'm writing for the Moore Park Reporter and Pantone 294, the Dodger Everything Club. It's a good time. A lot of good Dodger content, a lot of good content at Moore Park Reporter. Yeah, I mean, we're just having a good time here. Thanks for listening, and, we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week, guys. Thanks for listening.
Keep listening for more information on 101.5 KMCJ Raiders Radio.